Loud are a very, very storied organization. They obviously won champions in 2022, but even after that, they've helped build Brazilian Valorant to what it is today. And while today it probably isn't the best Brazilian Valorant has been, they've definitely helped grow the fan base. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't just that Champs win that made them great either. Remember, they made third place in Champions 2023 after winning in 2022. But ever since Aspas left, they have not had a lot of success. Now, don't get me wrong, they did place fourth at Madrid, but that's all they've been able to do internationally. And regionally, it has been awful, especially recently. But for stage two, they had some hope. Promising young rookie Luke showed out a little bit in stage one. Coming into stage two, he was expected to be able to take the leap. Then they also added Verdi and Robbie BK, who were supposed to be very impactful additions to help them out. Unfortunately, that has not been working for them, but we're going to try and break down why and see if Loud can return to their former glory and what the issue is right now. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10K by the end of the year. Comment what you think Loud should do to go ahead and make that leap to being one of the best teams in Valorant, and let's get into it. Now, this bonus round is egregious from Loud. You just simply cannot throw like they do here. I'll talk about the comp in a second. You see that Sky Flash. You see that they're playing a Sky. I don't think a Sky is very optimal on bind. It does have a 40% pick rate, but I think a lot of that's comfort. In the same way that, picking Jet on certain maps over Yoru is kind of a comfort pick that you do, I think it should get phased out. But once Loud are on this site here and 100 Thieves start the site hit, notice how Loud gain the advantage. Right here, Asuna dies to Verdi in a 1v1 aim duel. Right here, another 1v1 aim duel taken by Pancata. Good job isolating the fight onto Cryo, but 5v3 turned into a 2v4 there. But Loud gained this advantage through winning their fights, which, great, you need to be able to do that, but watch how that almost seems to backfire on them. Because they win those fights, they have no positioning really to play off of each other. It's a 4v2, and what you never, ever, ever want to do when you're up numbers in a 4v2 situation like this, or any situation where you're up numbers, is take 1v1s. You don't want to do that. You want to play with your teammates, take advantage of the fact that you have numbers, and go ahead and win the round that way. Instead, for some reason, Loud take literally 4 separate 1v1s here. I want you to count with me here. 1, and it's lost. Then Pancata here, I expect better, to be honest. He gets in what seems to be a position to literally take a more committed 1v1 right here. I'm thinking he was worried about, some timing thing happening with the Viper wall or whatever, but he ends up being in a position right here where he gets into a more committed position to take this isolated gunfight with Xander. Now it's a 2v2. Now the bomb is still down, but guess what happens? Wild guess. Come on, leave it in the comments. 3, 2, 1. Another 1v1 is taken here. EU kills Robbie. That one is probably a lot more defensible because he had no idea that he was there. And then the team that started down 2v1 or started down 4v2 in numbers takes the first fight kind of together that has happened all around other than that other one. This is something that just cannot happen at a professional level. And the coach is probably going to be having nightmares. The players should be having nightmares because that is unacceptable right there to do in professional Valorant. I know I said I'd talk about the comps. Loud seem very, 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 very sky-pilled. And I don't think it's that great. I really like the 100 Thieves comp more. Robbie can play Fade, so I'm not really sure why that isn't being used. Also, this round is just kind of a wash. They do a fight, be man at your eco, whatever. Or sorry, be long at your eco, whatever. Now, 100 Thieves have their Brim ult online here, which means that Loud cannot play over here in Lamps, but 100 Thieves know that Loud know this, and so they have a nice little set play over here where it ends up killing Luke. As you can see, Nade, Molly, Orbital Strike, it all comes down and gets them the first blood. But if you'll remember what I said earlier about taking one-on-one engagements, it's not a Loud specific problem. Now, don't get me wrong, Loud probably are one of the teams that do it more often, and 4v2 is particularly egregious, but a lot of other teams will do it. And you'll see here that even 100 Thieves falls victim to this, although you could argue that this one is a bit more justified. In this 1v2, Kess is going to have to end up planting. You can see Cryo just holds the smoke. Now, technically, optimally, should he be, hiding or holding the plant better? Yeah, technically, but you can't blame him for just trying to take the fight. Kess is going to have to plant at some point anyways, and he's safe in the smoke. Pancata with a good clutch, but again, the 1v1s happened, and Loud were able to win off of those 1v1s this time. Now, this next round is lost to a really good 100 Thieves set play, but that's not what I want to talk about. I actually want to talk about the Yoru. I've glazed the 100 Thieves comp, I think, enough in previous videos for you guys to know how I feel about it. I think it's really solid, but this play happens because you have a high-level Raze and a high-level Yoru. Verdi has not yet played Yoru on Loud, don't get me wrong. He has played Yoru before in Tier 2, but he has not played on it on Loud, which obviously leads to a lot of questions. Does Loud's new head coach, who is new, he was just now introduced for Stage 2, does he not trust his Yoru? Does his, game plan require a harder entry, maybe like a Raze? Is there something else, Does he think Yoru maybe isn't as powerful as a lot of other coaches and teams seem to think? Could be a lot of those things, but I do think that to be a top team, you have to have a Yoru player unless your player is literally ass pass on the duelist. And even then, look at how MIBR are performing, and they still need Artson to be there as their secondary duelist on that Yoru. So I do think that's something that if they aren't comfortable with Verdi on it, you might have to have, something else happen, because you need a Yoru player in this day and age, unless they're just trying to kind of wait out the meta and hope that the nerfs hit sooner rather than later. Now, on this pistol, Loud throw a wall that isn't normal, so I want to kind of try and explain this really quickly. Let me know if this is something you guys would like me to do more often. But the normal Viper Lurk wall is this. Now, it can work very well against, people that are actually on the A site. Over in this area, it's able to deny that space and the information very effectively. But if someone plays here, and this is normally what happens, and they can kind of jump spot this or use utility or something to still be able to see down this sideline, they see all of this. However, with the Loud wall, which is something, if I'm not mistaken, like this, you're able to make it to where you get all of this space. Now, it is a bit, less space, but you get it 100%. There is absolutely no way that 100 Thieves are going to be fighting through this. You just cannot fight through a Viper wall with 10 seconds, 20 seconds preparation on a pistol to this non-standard wall. So it's a very interesting kind of one-off thing. One thing I will say is he threw it well before round start. I really would have liked to see it be thrown like at round start or something, just to kind of catch them off guard that little bit more here. But Loud, go ahead. They've taken the space now with this Viper wall, like I explained. Again, let me know in the comments if me kind of looking at Valorant and showing those things is something you guys would like even more. But this wall gets thrown. However, that's, probably the best thing and most interesting thing about this round for Loud here. They go ahead and get the bomb down, but Xander gets 2 kills, which then makes the rest of the round fall apart, not only due to numbers, but because Luke Show now doesn't feel comfortable on his lurk, because he has to get that numbers advantage back, has to take a far more aggressive timing. Again, I've talked about how lurkers on teams that are just not as good will look a lot worse. I think Luke Show's like 2 and 12 at this point, and yeah, you can definitely say because of things like that, where you then have to try and save your team instead of being able to, if you're on a better team, take a later timing and actually be able to get to instead of being held for. However, 100 Thieves, despite the pretty cool little wall tech there from Loud, are going to take this round very handedly. Now, Loud just won their bonus, making it 6-9 here, ha ha ha, etc, etc. But this round is very crucial, and not for the reason that you might think. See, you might be looking at 100 Thieves economy. You need to shift your focus over to Luke Show, who is 1 death off of the pie on this round. It is very crucial that that does not happen here. However, they go ahead and try and do an aggressive fight B long, and you'll see this flash from Robbie. Well, it doesn't do anything. It gets dodged by Xander here, and Vinny just fights ahead of the poison orb with no more support from his team. He's thinking the flash has, obviously flashed everyone, which again, Xander, great job to turn it, getting them that first blood and completely shutting down really that offensive over there. Luke Show, I love him, for the record. Very, very big fan, and I'm shitting on him for the pie a little bit here. But Luke Show is over on A, trying to see if he can get anything done. Once Cryo goes down, though, it does end up being a 3v3 situation right here. And apologies for the buffering. I just want to talk about how good 100 Thieves have been with utility combos. You've seen earlier in the game, I showed you guys that Yoru and Ray's little combination where they had, the Yoru ult go around and the Rays go in just to kind of double team, from the front and the back, the guy in there. But right here, great utility for the Fade and the Nade combination right there to kill Robbie. I mean, EU in particular has been just very sharp. Obviously, it's not like that Fatal was too hard to do, but EU is just very sharp on buying with his utility. Great job here by 100 Thieves. But this next round kind of encapsulates the entire game, I think, and is a wonderful little tone setter for how this game went. Loud have a really, really cool play here that you're going to see, but it doesn't end up working out. See, this Molly by Kalenzine is just off, and I mean just off. See, the thought process here is go ahead and Gecko Molly this, then when the Thrash detains people, no one can be in this space. The only issue is, if you see that tiny little corner over there, that Austin is going to be able to stay there, which completely disrupts this plan, as you'll see right here. Verdi goes in off the tag. Oh, he's almost able to get that kill, but Austin is here, which you didn't expect. So with that, and Robbie dying to the nade because of the Viper Molly there decaying him, now Asuna has completely stopped this game plan. Luke Show thankfully gets a kill on Cryo, but that's it. And I think that is a wonderful encapsulation of this Loud roster. Wonderful ideas, but the execution is a bit lacking. I think this team does have potential, but they're not going to be able to do anything this year, most likely due to, their record and not qualifying for champions, again, most likely. But I do think that this team has promise, and I would not be disappointed if I was a Loud fan and they kind of stuck together for the next year. Give them some time, and I think they might be able to build something beautiful. I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe. It would mean a ton to me, and let me know what you thought. I know this is a bit different than my normal style. I'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Peace.